Hello, my friend. Let me tell you a story that begins with a moment of silence. A moment so powerful that millions still remember exactly where they were when it happened. A moment when hope, courage, and tragedy collided in a single heartbeat. This is the story of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a young man who carried a nation's dreams on his shoulders and whose voice still echoes across history. His story is not just about politics. It is about bravery, vision, and the belief that one person can shape the future. And today, you will learn English through his extraordinary journey. John F. Kennedy, often called JFK, was born on May 29, 1917, in Brookline, Massachusetts. He came from a big, wealthy family. But his childhood was far from easy. He suffered from constant health problems, back pain, infections, and illnesses that made even simple tasks difficult. Many days he had to rest in bed while other children played outside. Yet even when his body felt weak, his mind stayed strong. Kennedy read books, studied world history, and developed a deep curiosity about people and politics. He learned early that strength does not always come from muscles. Sometimes it comes from the heart. As he grew older, Kennedy attended Harvard University, where he became fascinated with leadership and international affairs. But life had other plans for him. In 1941, World War II began, and Kennedy chose not to stay in comfort. Instead, he joined the United States Navy. Even though his health was fragile, he refused to be left behind. He wanted to serve. He wanted to protect his country. He wanted to prove that courage is not about being perfect. Courage is about showing up. During the war, Kennedy became the commander of a small patrol boat called PT-109. One night, while he and his crew were on a mission in the Pacific Ocean, a Japanese destroyer suddenly appeared out of the darkness and crashed into their boat. The impact ripped the boat into two pieces. Men fell into the water. The sea was cold, deep, and unforgiving. Some of the crew were injured, and there, in the middle of the chaos, Kennedy had to make a choice: panic or lead. He chose to lead. Kennedy swam through the water, pulling injured crew members with him. He held a strap from a wounded man's life jacket between his teeth and pulled him through the waves for hours. The night was long. The ocean was brutal. But Kennedy refused to let his men die. Finally, after exhausting hours of swimming, they reached a small island. His courage saved lives, and for that bravery, he became a hero. But Kennedy never called himself a hero. He simply said, "It was my job." After the war, Kennedy entered politics. He became a member of Congress, then a senator, and eventually, in 1960, he ran for President of the United States. At that time, America was full of fear and uncertainty. The Cold War with the Soviet Union was growing. Many people believed the future looked dark, but then, a young candidate with bright eyes and a confident smile appeared. He spoke not with anger, but with hope. He spoke not about fear, but about possibility. His words lifted people's hearts. His speeches made people believe again. And so, at just 43 years old, John F. Kennedy became the youngest elected president in American history. From his first day in office, Kennedy brought a new energy to the country. He believed that each person could make a difference. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country." These words inspired millions. They still do today. Kennedy faced enormous challenges. The Cold War was tense. The threat of nuclear war was real. Every decision he made had the power to save lives or destroy them. One of the biggest moments came in 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Soviet Union had placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the United States. It was a dangerous situation. The world watched in fear. One wrong move could have started a global war. In those terrifying days, Kennedy chose a path of calm, intelligence, and negotiation. Many people wanted to launch an attack immediately. But Kennedy understood that war would bring disaster. He used careful diplomacy instead of violence. He communicated with Soviet leaders step by step until they agreed to remove the missiles. The world breathed again. A nuclear war had been avoided. Kennedy had protected millions of lives. This moment showed his greatest strength, the ability to stay calm under pressure, the ability to choose peace, even when surrounded by fear, the ability to think for the world, not just for himself. But Kennedy's leadership was not only about avoiding war. He also dreamed of progress, science, and unity. He believed that humans could achieve the impossible. In 1961, he stood in front of the nation and declared a new mission. We choose to go to the moon. At that time, going to the moon sounded impossible, like a dream too big to reach. But Kennedy believed that challenges were opportunities for greatness. His bold decision launched the American space program into a new era. And just 8 years later, in 1969, humans finally walked on the moon. That achievement began with Kennedy's vision. Kennedy also fought for civil rights, equality, and justice. He wanted America to become a place where people were not judged by the color of their skin, their background, or their beliefs. He pushed for laws to protect the rights of African Americans. He spoke openly against racial discrimination. His words encouraged a new generation of activists and leaders to stand up for fairness. And although he did not live long enough to see those laws passed, his influence helped shape the fight for equality. Behind all the speeches and leadership, Kennedy was also a loving husband and father. He married Jacqueline Bouvier, known as Jackie, a woman with grace, intelligence, and elegance. Together, they became one of the most iconic couples in history. They had 2 children during Kennedy's presidency, Caroline and John Jr. The White House, under the Kennedy family, became known as Camelot, a place of culture, art, music, and dreams. People saw them as a symbol of hope, a symbol of new beginnings, a reminder that leadership can be youthful, bright, and inspiring. But every great story has a moment of heartbreak. On November 22, 1963, President Kennedy traveled to Dallas, Texas. He wanted to meet the people, to wave, to smile, and to show that he was a president who cared. He rode through the city in an open car. Crowds gathered on the sidewalks. People cheered. Children waved American flags. It was a beautiful day. The sky was clear, and everything seemed peaceful. Then, in an instant, everything changed. Gunshots suddenly echoed through the air. Kennedy fell forward. Chaos erupted on the streets. People screamed. The car sped toward the hospital. But the damage was irreversible. John F. Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States, was pronounced dead shortly after. He was only 46 years old. The world went silent. Millions cried. The hope that Kennedy brought seemed to disappear in a single moment. Leaders around the globe expressed shock. Families sat in front of their televisions, unable to speak. A bright flame had been extinguished too soon. Yet, even though his life ended suddenly, his story did not. Kennedy's legacy continued through his words, his courage, and his belief in the power of ordinary people. He once said, "One person can make a difference, and everyone should try." These words still inspire people today. Students repeat them. Leaders quote them. Dreamers live by them. Kennedy taught the world that progress is possible, that peace is possible, that courage can exist even in the darkest moments. Over time, Kennedy became more than a president. He became a symbol of hope, youth, vision, and new beginnings. People remember him standing in front of crowds, speaking with confidence and passion. They remember his leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis. They remember his dream of reaching the moon. They remember his commitment to equality. They remember his smile, his energy, and his belief in humanity. And behind all these memories, there is a deeper lesson, a lesson that can guide your own life as you learn English, grow, and chase your goals. Kennedy's story teaches us that challenges do not make you weaker. They make you stronger. When he was sick, he learned determination. When he was injured in the war, he learned courage. When he became president, he learned responsibility. When he faced global danger, he learned patience and intelligence. Every challenge helped him rise higher. You and I, too, face challenges. Some days feel heavy. Some dreams feel too big. But Kennedy's story whispers to us, do not be afraid to try. Do not be afraid to dream. Do not be afraid to lead. Even when he was tired. Even when he was scared. Even when the world doubted him. He kept moving forward. And that is why his story is so powerful. John F. Kennedy believed that the future belongs to those who build it. He believed that learning matters, that ideas matter, that people matter. He believed that every person, including you, has the power to rise above fear and create something meaningful. Today, when people talk about leadership, vision, and courage, Kennedy's name still appears. His speeches continue to be studied. His decisions continue to be remembered. His legacy continues to grow. And his spirit continues to inspire dreamers, students, leaders, and storytellers all around the world. John F. Kennedy's story is more than history. It is a reminder that life is short, but impact is long. That greatness is not about perfection. It is about purpose, and that one voice, one dream, one idea can change everything.